agenda?
I have two items that I need to add to the agenda today. First item would go under action item 4C, which is the approval for the purchase of a new phone system for our district. And second item. Oh, and the second item is a fuel agreement to purchase some fuel from Northern Humboldt.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we add those two items to the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, the agenda is adopted.
To clarify, that will be a consent agenda 5D, or excuse me, 5E for the second one for the mutual agreement. Or that's not an action item, is it? That's a consent.
Dana, where did you put the fuel?
The fuel is in a consent.
Yes, the fuel would be under consent and then.
5E.
Oh, so it's 5E, not 3E, but 5E. Thanks, Kate.
Mhm.
We saw it.
Public comment. Seeing no public here or online. We'll go to number 3, information discussion. And 3A. Developing a plan to update 37 policies, new policy regulation and exhibits sent to California School Board Association.
Okay, how should we do this? We have, this is what came in from CSBA. We want to have a special meeting to, how should we update? And plus the ones that are pending that we had from last meeting too.
So the plan last year was you'd take 2 or 3 of those and put them on each agenda and spread them out throughout the
We
year.
could do 10, each month we get more, we get about 20 a month. So,
20 a month.
yeah, we're pretty well caught up, but we still, this just came in, there's 37.
And how many policies are in that pile?
37.
37,
Plus a brand new policy we've never had before.
which is what?
I don't know what the name is right offhand.
Yeah, so the discussion would be whether the board wants to form a subcommittee to discuss and to read those and bring them back. Or
Do we want to
do
do
it as a total group. Hi, Lori.
Hi, sorry, I apologize.
All right, we started.
We're all aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the discussion is to have a meeting, a special meeting, where we all look at these policies and discuss them so that we're all in favor of that. Or are there other ideas? Okay, so special meeting. No, we don't need a motion.
Okay, so
In August or July,
August.
I like that too.
Okay, and B, Rainbow Task Force resolution.
Well, my name's on it, so this is on the agenda as a discussion item. For the board to decide whether or not they would like to adopt resolution number 23-60. Which is attached and was written by the Rainbow Task Force. In support of the LGBTQIA+ students in our district. I guess I would like to start the discussion that I'd like to remind the board that our district is located on 3 Indian reservations, the Yurok, the Karuk, and the Hupa. And we have yet to have a special resolution or a policy or a regulation about the American Indians, Native American people that live within these on reservations. So my concern with an adoption of something where we're singling out a particular minority group, in my opinion, why would we separate them from the other minority groups? I mean, it's common in other districts to have where you proclaim a day of the month for that group. For example, we have September 30th for Native American Day. That's like a proclamation. Everybody knows it. Our district has one. We have a day, but we don't have a special resolution for the minority group itself. So by starting a policy or a regulation about a particular group of people, I feel like it sort of opens the door to all the other people, the Asians, the Hispanic people, the Chinese Asian people, I said that already, the women, people with disabilities. I mean, the list is very long. Black, of course, we have a proclamation of tolerance for the district, which, I think if we maybe tweaked on that document a little bit, would be able to suit our needs to address all of the minorities. But that's just my personal opinion, and that's how I'd like to start the discussion today.
So, can I speak?
Yes, right in your mic.
So this has been kind of a long process, and we as a board have kind of discussed what we'd like to see. And so Les and I were invited and Paige to meet with a couple of the staff members at the high school to talk about something that we could come together and support. And so we worked with one of the teachers. She was the only one that could actually make it, could actually show up. And I thought we came up with something that was really beautiful. It was about empowerment. It was about belonging for all of our people, for Indigenous people, for LGBTQ two-spirited community, students with disabilities, and we actually called it something different than is here. So I was really surprised to see that this is what was brought to us, because this took us all the way back to the very beginning of the discussion, and it really moved away from encompassing all people and empowering all of our students. And so I actually was able to log in and find the document that we worked with, and Les has that. So maybe like to look at it.
So do you want me to forward this to?
Yeah, forward it to Dana, and then she can print it, and then we can take a look at it.
Could we also get what you talked about, the one we already have in place?
Yeah.
So that we can,
Proclamation.
yeah.
Okay.
The document that you had sent to us, I know it didn't come from you, but the document.
Well, that exists.
And it exists, was called, what, it was called.
Proclamation of tolerance. I think it's.
No, it actually was called Resolution for the Inclusion and Safety for All. And I don't think that this is a reflection of inclusion and safety for all. So if we do as a board and move forward in supporting this, I think we should go to the resolution for safety for the LGBTQ. And this resolution is specific for that group of people. And if we're going to move in that direction, then we need to be truthful, transparent about what we're doing. So if we do decide to support this document, I think that we need to change it to include just the LGBT. That's the direction I'm moving. But the title of the document that Les and I worked with, I don't know if we're allowed to say staff members thing. I don't think that we need to. She had put together a meeting, and she was really going to.
And so that kind of concerns me. She has one idea and.
Well, that's the idea that Les and I were both under the assumption that we were working with the Rainbow Task Force, and that was the document that we were going to be seeing today. So we were kind of taken aback that this document presented is what was presented in the very beginning.
Right, that's what I thought too, because it read the same way.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And we've tried to be very good about not having board members, in what, so it was the.
Yeah.
The three from people working there.
Yeah.
we thought was the Rainbow Task Force, but
And she apologized that others couldn't be there. As we were there, they were calling saying we couldn't make the meeting, so.
I missed the meeting too, so. I mean, wow, guilt in this meeting.
So are we gonna get a copy of that?
I
I think
think
they just in there,
that's- you wanna read it to them?
right in the mic, nice and loud. Okay, so statement of empowerment and belonging 2023, policy statement of the Board of Trustees, Climate Trinity Joint Unified School District. In recognition that we strongly believe that all of our students shall be supported and loved as who they are while entrusted to the care of the Climate Trinity Joint Unified School District. We believe that respect and freedom belong to all people regardless of race, creed, culture, color, sexual orientation, or gender identity. It is well established fact that young people who experience positive school climates free of bullying, harassment, and discrimination report greater physical safety, increased mental well-being, and improved educational and life outcomes. Students thrive and learn best in environments that are safe and inclusive, where they feel a sense of belonging. This is an essential underlying truth behind the trauma-informed approach to teaching already supported by the KTJUSD board. Whereas young people, teachers, school staff, families, and our communities must be free of the violence of racism, homophobia, sexism, transphobia, ableism, and all forms of systemic oppression, KTJUSD schools shall be safe and liberatory learning environments that include and affirm student identities, whether they be Indigenous, people of color, people with disabilities, or 2S/LGBTQIA+. At KTJUSD, we strive for every young person to have equal educational opportunities where their basic civil and educational rights are affirmed. We shall empower our staff to provide the best possible future for all young people in schools, including in schools without exception.
I would support that.
Why does that document not make it
Okay,
this far?
so I'm just gonna say that it appears that, to me, that the Rainbow Task Force that wasn't in your meeting wants all these laws so that we are held to the laws, so that we're held accountable for any laws that we may break.
I think that we're held accountable whether we have a motion or not. Laws are laws and we are expected to follow laws to protect our students. I don't think that that's necessary, but I mean, if that's what we want to do, that's fine.
Well,
I'm okay.
I'm just saying, that's what I think. I think the purpose of this is to have it on record that we know there are laws, but I like this. I like their guidance.
Do you want to, do you check out that last night?
Right.
Yeah, could you change that? Just change it, anything with me.
I read it correctly, but it's still in there.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I agree. I think this second document is way more along the lines of what we wanted to say. I think it's very important to consider the culture of our community and be inclusive of everyone. Because if you do a document that's just one minority group, then you've got to do it when the next holiday comes. You've got to make sure you get the next one and the next one. And what if you forget someone? You know, I mean, I just don't think we need to be there. I think one document that's inclusive of everyone is really what we should thrive for. And I know we already follow the laws. The laws are, I mean, we already follow the laws. We know that. So you don't have to do resolutions to show that you're following the law. Right? You do resolutions because you want to say something nice. You want to empower everyone to feel good about your school. That's why you do resolutions, not because the law requires it, because it doesn't. So, I mean, I think that The second document is something that I think we should get together and look at. I don't like that first one. I don't think we have to quote other people's surveys in all of the solutions. I think there were a lot of things that didn't need to be in there, and I think it was not inclusive enough at all. Thank you.
When we,
I'm sorry.
Can you just clarify which document is which, so I know which one, like which one are you referring to as the first and which one are you referring to as the second?
The one we just got received, Statement of Empowerment and Belonging 2023 is the one I'm talking about.
so the
So that
discussion,
has KTJUSD's name on it, that looks like an email.
Yes, so you're saying that this is the document that which one are you more feeling favorable towards?
neither of those, you're not holding either one, that is correct.
Okay, thank you, that's what
That- that's yeah.
What Leslie has didn't get printed yet. Did you send it to Dana to get printed?
That's the one.
Yeah, they don't have the one, yeah.
That's so the one that she
So-
read out loud is no.
This
That's
is the
the
other one that was in the pack.
So the,
Teacher. That's the one the Rainbow Task Force wanted.
Okay,
So this is the old one
That's one that exists currently.
that we already have.
but this one is the one that the board is,
this is the one that we just talked about, the one that we had worked on with the staff people.
and this feels good to you?
That feels good to me. I don't feel like we need to, so what I was trying to say is in our discussions that Les and I had with the staff people we talked about not needing to justify protecting LGBTQ students. That's how I see this proposal from the Rainbow Task Force. It's like we're having to justify protecting our students, and we don't have to do that. I don't think that there's anybody in the community, and I don't think there's anybody on the board that thinks that our LGBTQ two-spirited students shouldn't be protected or shouldn't feel safe. So I really feel that the what has been presented by the task force has a lot of good information. That's really good information that we all have, but it's a lot of very aggressive. This is why we need to do it. This is why, and I don't think we have to prove that. I don't think we have to prove to anybody why we need to do that, because it's the law, number one. But number two, I don't think that there's anybody here that thinks that LGBTQ two-spirited community doesn't deserve respect and doesn't deserve to be protected. And so I think we need to approach it from the position that, yes, we all do. They do. They need this protection. They need this. They deserve this support. But I don't think that we need to try to convince people. And I felt like that the statement or the Rainbow Task Force's information that they're bringing forward is like, they need to convince us to do this, and they don't need to convince us to do this.
Like I have another, item. That's sorry. No, it's on this.
It's on agenda item, so.
And can I ask one more question, just to be clear, this one here that Dana just gave me was the most recent one that you received from the Rainbow Task Force. This is what you were asked to adopt today. Is
No,
this-
it's on our discussion, but it's not on an action. It's not on an
But
action
this is
item.
the most recent one.
That's what
that
we
came-
saw.
Yes.
How about Carmen, go to the microphone because we'll have a hard time hearing.
Okay.
Can you go to the microphone, because they didn't hear you?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just still trying to understand which document is which. Can you hear me
Push the
okay?
button, the button pushed. There you go.
There you go.
Okay, how's that?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. I'm just still trying to understand which document is which.
okay.
So I was just being clear that this one that Dana just gave me, that is longer than this. So the statement of empowerment and belonging from 2023, I hear you saying, right, that you were working on this
So
collaboratively.
we worked collaboratively. The three Hoopa board trustees were invited to the high school to work with the Rainbow Task Force. But only one of the staff people were there. And so that's what came from that meeting.
So I guess my question would be, and I hear what you're saying, that you don't feel like you need like convincing to do all of these things, but my question would just be like reflecting on all of the board meetings that have happened over the last 4 or 5 months. I've heard a lot of people from the community saying that you do need to do this because people don't feel safe. And so that's my question to you is that like, have you heard what people are saying? Like over and over again, we have all the recordings from all of the meetings. And people are saying that I believe you that you all want everyone to be safe. Like I know that. I can see all of your hearts and that you want that, but it's not happening. Unfortunately. And I think I can't speak for the Rainbow Task Force, but my guess is that's why they presented this, because it's one thing to have like resolutions or policy in words, but it's another thing of what's actually being implemented and happening. So that would just be my question that I would ask you to please consider that.
Sorry, I walked in late.
Right up to the mic. Matt, here you go.
Oh,
Okay.
I am sorry I walked in late. I'm so glad I'm here. I have 2 different items, so I'm not sure if I should.
We're on the topic of the LGBTQ proclamation.
Right, and I
So
was,
you can speak on that?
yes,
Please state
your name.
Yes.
Okay, Ramona Sopolo, special education teacher, Napa Valley High School. And I was also part of I'm still part of the Rainbow Task Force for Napa High, and I was on the task force because at the time, after COVID, half of my students were a part of the Rainbow queer community, and so my eyes awakened to everything going on. So I just walked in when you were saying that, you know, you all support this, you don't think there needs to be a resolution, and I immediately.
No, that's not what was said.
Okay, so I apologize, but I really do feel strongly we need a resolution, and I was thinking back on all the resolutions that districts, counties, cities, you know, entities, businesses have made, and for example, you have a resolution on no energy drinks allowed, and that, to me, resolutions make it very clear what the expectations, the value system, and you know, the rules are for that entity. And that's what I like about resolutions. Otherwise, people don't follow them. But if you can point and say, this is what we need to follow, then they are more followed. So I think it's great if everybody here supports, you know, supporting our two-spirit LGBTQ community. However, there is so much education that is needed. And the part of the resolution is saying we proclaim and promise to help train and educate, and even the parent, guardian, and community would be a part of that. So that's where I love the resolution, because it really sets the value system for the district. And it makes me think back on the 1950s when, you know, some people said we need equal rights for all people, for Black people. And some people said, well, I believe that, but we don't need to make all these laws. So I guess I just kind of hit a chord when I heard something. So it's great if you all have the value system that everybody needs equal treatment and equal respect, but when we make a law, a rule, a resolution, it really sets the tone in a stronger way, just as with cultural education for this district, which I feel strongly about. It's the same kind of thing to me. It's just saying, okay, guys, update. Here's our value system. Not everybody's on the same page. So we as a district are going to set the tone. You're the bosses. We're going to set the tone. And therefore, these are things we'll do. You know, make sure there's curriculum or training or support groups. And again, the same thing for cultural curriculum. It's ongoing, right? It doesn't get fixed overnight, and we get new people coming in. So we need constant education. So I, as a teacher, as a community member, as a parent, am completely in support of any resolution that makes sure that everybody is aware of your value system and the rules, the laws that need to be followed, and therefore then the education that will be a part of that.
Loma, could you share that with her? That other one?
The full one?
Oh, yeah.
She wants to say, oh, Lori.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to add, we have heard a lot of things about the certain people coming and complaining over and over again about what's not happening at the school district, that there needs to be more training and there needs to, all these needs, but we have had Queer Humboldt here for 2 years. We have the Rainbow Task Force, and we have never, to my knowledge, gotten a written complaint from anyone about bullying or anything, except for certain people who come. And I mean, I wish that the sentence I saw somewhere in a paperwork that I had to sign where, you know, it doesn't do us any good to have rules that need to be followed if no one ever reports when they're broken. So we need that feedback too. It's not just us. You know, I mean, we need to know when things come up and when things happen, and that's not, that part of it isn't happening. And we are sitting here having had Queer Humboldt here for 2 years, having the Rainbow Task Force full on, and we're still hearing that it's not enough. But it looks like enough to us because we feel in our hearts what we feel, and we don't hear any complaints from the students or from people that are actually turning something in. And that's a very important missing point.
Can I
So
respond
we
to that?
really do need people to come forward and let us know
Then
when there are issues.
there would have to be the pathway for communication for that to happen. The Rainbow,
And I
you know,
believe there is.
the
I
kids
believe
are,
there is a pathway, and
needs to be a
and
clear.
I, you know, I mean,
If you were to visit at the school and have a lunchtime with students, you might get more input. But coming to a board meeting is difficult, especially, you know, oftentimes they're during the day.
I'm not
The
talking
Rainbow,
about that. I am talking about there are principals at every school site. There are counselors at every school site. There are pathways to get the word back to us. It doesn't have to come to us directly. You know, I mean, and I see a student out there and I would empower her to please, if she has any issues, it doesn't have to wait for a board meeting. She could be reporting and talking to anyone else she feels comfortable with, and ask them to please bring it forward. You know, I mean, so I just think I'm just saying, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying that's an important piece of this whole picture that we're not getting, that just doesn't happen.
and that's again, where if it's more verbal, just as with any affirmative action law or anything, you know, things that move along in society, that needs to be verbalized, because we don't have all administration speaking out about it. You know, there's so many other priorities or things in their focus. So I hear you. And I think if you come to the school and the way you've done in other situations, make yourself present and say, you know, come, you know, let's eat lunch together and hear from you, you would hear more. There was another thing I just wanted to mention, that yes, Queer Humboldt has been here for 2 years, but it's not mandatory. So there were only just a few people like myself and other teachers who care about the issue or have it highlighted based on their students. So because it wasn't a blanket for all, that's why if this resolution happened, it would be more district wide. So it's really been who's willing to come to these after school and evening meetings. So that's why, again, I love laws, I love resolutions, I like protocol, because it's blanket wide, the whole district gets the training, and we can, you know, connect this to all other types of trainings we've had here. So.
Do you feel like, and I know we're not supposed to interact like this, but I'm just asking, do you feel like we have so we all are very aware that we have not had a fully staffed school site right here in Hoopa, either sites. So do you feel like if we were to start with a fully staffed school site, that these processes that she's talking about would be easier for students to adhere to or to utilize, I guess is what I'm asking.
When you say fully staffed, you mean fully trained or?
Yes, fully trained and staffed.
Oh, yeah, just kind of, again, I equate it to where, okay, the whole district's going to train in this reading program. The whole district's going to train in cultural, you know, local history awareness. The whole district's going to train in, you know, we've spent years on trauma-informed management. I'm thankful. It took years. And we're still needing refreshers, but there's a common language. Everybody knows they're supposed to be incorporating local culture as much as possible. It's not perfect, but we have the curriculum. So we're still building, it takes decades and centuries to change. So I totally feel that if we have, again, if there's a resolution, it's kind of like, your strategic plan or your bylaws or something, it's like saying, this is something we are going to add to our value system and mandate and all that, type of thing. And I think it will really drive what happens next. And, I would love to be a part of the curriculum / professional development committee again. If, we used to have those, and then we could help drive the training. I see, you see trends throughout the decades of what we focus on, and this is another one. And things will eventually be where we don't feel there's more bullying, it's more equitable, then something else will come up in, the school. I love that the school is often the leader of how we change a community, we're really can influence. So yes, just like the energy resolution that it did about a dozen years ago, I still have the old one on my refrigerator. So whenever I say you can't have an energy drink, I point to it. It really helps.
Okay, so
Thank you.
again, I'll go back to, I think that the Rainbow Task Force resolution is as much about holding us accountable for the laws. The laws are already there. I mean, we don't really, maybe if we said in this other statement, just to shorten things up, that the district will, abide by laws that are already in place. That feel,
Can I ask you a question, Jennifer? Can I speak?
yes, you may.
Okay, so are our resolutions our policies, or do we have policies at the high school for how we conduct business, what kind of training we have to do and all of that? So I guess what I'm asking is because this to me, like the proclamation of tolerance that we have, it doesn't outline any behaviors, right? It's just a we believe thing. So I think that maybe our understanding of what a resolution represents and what a resolution is maybe we as a board need to really look at, because this proclamation of tolerance and a resolution for energy drinks is kind of like, they're not the same thing, right? And so my question is, maybe what they're asking for is policy on the administration would develop, right? That's what they're asking for, is policy. They're not asking for a resolution.
I believe they're asking for a resolution.
Well, I mean, I know they're asking for the resolution, but I think what they want to be asking for is policy.
Well, Lama,
Yeah, I
can
just
you go
wanted
to the mic?
Yeah, I just clarify because I'm trying to get in touch with Katie because honestly, I'm not certain. I think, or maybe Mr. Anderson could help us clarify, but I'm still not sure that this isn't the one that they were asking for.
No, it's not.
Several pages.
It's not.
Okay.
So I want to reiterate or I guess I would say, I want to support what you're saying, because we were surprised when we opened our packet and that was what was included. We were really surprised by that. So.
Well, because I could tell you that, I communicated briefly with Katie this morning, but that she had put a quote that said, we shall empower our staff to provide the best possible future for all young people in schools, including those who identify as 2S, LGBTQIA+ without exception. Is that in both documents? I think that is in both documents.
So
I know
Yeah.
that was one of the really most important pieces, because I did help her work on this as well, was that there was something that was specifically naming, but to bring it back to what Ramona was talking about though, I think that another important piece of this is the education piece. And so I just did want to talk about that a little bit because Scuba Education and the ACLU had provided you with a letter that had numerous asks in the letter. And one of the things at the end of that letter, one of the most important asks that we had was that there was mandatory education and training. So that may be separate, depending on once we determine for sure what's going on with this. I just want to ask, like, are you going to contract, have we renewed our contract with Career Humboldt? And will the training be mandatory for all staff?
We are going to contract with Keenan and Associates, and they are going to provide mandatory training to all staff on this subject for the next school year.
Okay, so I just want to state right now, so you all know that Career Humboldt has worked really hard to establish a relationship with community members here. And that's been over a 2-year period. And I think that that's really important to continue to contract with Career Humboldt. I believe that and I'm not sure with Keenan and Associates, from what I've done, the research I've done and what I've been informed by LGBTQ advocates across the state, is that it's really important who you train with, because some of the trainings are going to be like a lot more mediocre and watered down. And we want to work with the folks who we've already built a relationship with. Also, one of the education coordinator for Career Humboldt, I don't know if you all know, is a local community member. So I don't feel that it would be appropriate to contract with another agency when the education advocate for Career Humboldt is somebody from here who has a relationship with everybody. So I would highly I'd like to ask you, I don't know if I need to beg you, but I would like to strongly recommend that you consider your decision to contract with somebody else besides Career Humboldt for the training. Because they've been working really hard to, they actually have like a 3-tiered plan that they've done in other communities across the country. And the way they do it is they work with schools first, and then eventually they work with community members if and when they're ready, but they're really thoughtful about the way that they train, and that they've hit a lot of hitches and they've had a lot of problems in different communities that they've learned from, so that they can offer this in a really good way. So I feel really strongly about that, and I hope that you will consider that.
Are you aware, Lana, if the tribe has a similar resolution to this? If the tribe,
I am not aware, but I think that's a really good question.
I encourage you to bring it to their attention as much as you're bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree, Jennifer. And
Okay. This is a discussion item. I'm concerned about whether or not we have the most recent one, because I hate to think that my time is being wasted also by going and helping to contribute to this one that we worked on. So maybe we could, I don't know.
No, I kind of feel like the person that worked with you guys on this is not here. And probably should be, because they represented a group of people, but they're not here to speak to that, or haven't communicated with the group of people they were speaking for.
I don't know what the mission is.
Well, okay.
But it is, we have an appointment threshold.
Yes, we have. I think we need to,
It was not an action item.
it's not an action item.
So
I think we need to have a discussion on this. And you know what,
there's a student who would like to speak.
Okay.
There's a student who would like to speak.
might have to lower the mic. Yeah.
Okay, I've been going to my name is Melvin McConnell. I'm her daughter. I've been going to Hoopa Valley Elementary for a while. I've been going since kindergarten. I was pretty much raised here. There have been a lot of problems with our school. The LGBTQ is also a big problem, because some teachers, they want to help, but they don't. Because I had a friend who got in trouble for speaking out when the teacher called him by his original name. And the teacher made him feel really bad. So
It's okay.
And also Career Humboldt is really good, because my friends have developed like friendships, like they know those people and they're really comfortable with those people because they're the people that we've known for like 2 years, and they're really good with our school because they understand our problems and they help as much as they can. And that's why I think Clear Humble should return next year, because it's just like a really good program.
Thank you. Okay, so this discussion item, we are gonna have to.
Pan out.
Madam President, first and foremost, I want to recognize Rainbow Task Force Resolution for putting in all this time and building this document for us to look at. We appreciate it. When I look at this, folks, I hope we don't lead into a contentious set over this. And it seems like to me, I'm getting vibes of that, of the conflict of the Statement of Empowerment of Belonging 2023, the Proclamation of Intolerance, and Resolution 23-60. When I look at these documents, fellow trustees, these are living documents. I mean, we signed 1/6/9/2020. That's a living document. We can alter, we can amend that as much as we wish. Obviously, the Statement of Empowerment and Belonging has not been accepted at this point in that form, or in that draft, if you will, as we are looking at 2360. And I would request that another committee be formed immediately with the authors of Resolution 2360, the authors of Empowerment and Belonging 2023, and a reflection of the Proclamation of Tolerance. And we move to resolve this as swiftly and quickly as possible. I do feel for the Rainbow Task Force group and their frustration for the time and effort that they put forward in this resolution for design, and to be constructively criticized, not criticized, but constructively criticized in its language. So I ask that the board create a subcommittee, and please let's immediately take care of weaving document 2360 and Statement of Power and Belonging, and possibly Proclamation of Tolerance as a resolution to this topic. I actually have no problem, folks, accepting the Rainbow Task Force Resolution 2360. I think I guess in some people's opinion, it bogs us down with more resolution policy within the KT framework. But we have the power and luxury to accept resolutions and then amend them later. If you wish to accept and move today on 2360 and embrace it, I think you would acknowledge community members for what we've sat through multiple meetings of concern. I think it would be a way to acknowledge them, all of us, and I think we could continue to modify this down the road. Whether you want to do it as a subcommittee early, or acknowledge us and accept it today and make amendments later. Ultimately, this topic needs to be accepted, and closure needs to occur.
With full respect to the board, I found out about the time change of this meeting about 20 minutes ago.
Me too.
I ran here as fast as I could. I did not submit time to speak to this. Could I please submit to have minutes to speak to the board?
Is that board be recognized, sir?
Okay, here you go. Yeah.
We can take care of the yellow slip later.
Put the air conditioner on the car.
I'll do my best for your end. Thank you, board, for your
Yep,
time.
yep, speaking to your mic.
I'd like to thank the board for their time and consideration of this resolution that has been an ongoing process for several months. My name is Robert Anderson. I'm a 14-year teacher at Valley High School. I've been involved with Rainbow Task Force indirectly 1 year, directly this last year. The work that the Rainbow Task Force is doing is direct, personal, and life-changing. The the students that it serves. It's not something that can be easily outsourced, especially in this time and age where there's so much that's being said that is hostile, traumatizing in the mainstream of social media, politics. Silence is a message as much as anything else. So the process of getting this resolution through, and the resolution, as I understand it, we had several meetings where board members were invited to participate, express their concerns, to clean up the language, to make it work better. So there had been that effort. That effort was put forward in good faith to make this something that the board could recognize and be comfortable with. At its heart, the resolution is agreeing to follow the laws that already exist. And you could say, well, why do we need to say that? And then I would ask, why wouldn't you say it? Especially when students are given so many negative messages about who they are. If they fit within the spectrum of two-spirited LGBTQIA, there's so many negative, toxic messages out there. To not be told that they would be accepted and loved by their own schools. Schools are supposed to be the safe place. It's not that big of an ask. At the end of the day, I'm not sure why this is so hard. Nothing's changing for the students who are cishet, for staff members that are conforming to their gender of birth, like me, or heterosexual in their orientation and identity, like me. We're not losing anything. This isn't, changing any school atmosphere outside of targeting a minority group for bullying and abuse. If we can't say that we don't stick up for those students, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I don't know.
Do you have a copy of this?
It seems, yeah. What is this?
This is
I believe what this is.
Yeah, so that is the one that we worked with Katie on, who had said the board had been invited, and that's the one that we worked with her on. So we were surprised to see that the other one had been submitted. We're not opposed to it, we're just saying, we have these two bodies of work that we,
So I can't explain why you got which document you got, but I can say the one in the board packet is the one that was worked on in committee with board members invited. So this.
no, that's not the one that we worked on with Katie.
3 of the board members were, right? 3? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it ended up with 2 each.
Okay, so it looks like we have some confusion. Obviously, I don't recall being invited to a meeting to work on this stuff. Actually, I didn't think I went to either one of them, but I think we need to go back and re-examine, maybe so is there an actual group of Rainbow Task Force? I mean, you have a group of people, right? As like we have a board, so we had board members go back with the whole group. Was there a reason why other people didn't go to the meeting with our board members?
Those meetings were scheduled, as I understand it, with the board members in mind. Katie was coordinating that.
Okay, and the board members went, but nobody else was there except Katie.
There was one meeting where it was Loma, Katie, and I. And 2 board members had committed, I believe, to the show.
So
I'm gonna-
I think what,
Yeah,
go ahead, Lauren.
I'm sorry, but I'm fixing a point of order. We're way past the 20 minutes where there's confusion. We just need to figure this out. It's a discussion item and bring it back, but we need to get on with our meeting.
Okay, so that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out what we're gonna do here, because we have to discuss it, and then at this point, we have no resolution to this. So would the board like to form a committee again and have a meeting with Rainbow Task Force? And this time, everybody go. And do I have any volunteers to sit on that meeting? to be in that meeting.
We told them we'll sit on that.
I'll sit on it.
Okay,
I've got to say though, I mean, I like this and I think we should send it out.
I like that too.
We need to send this out or a version of it and just begin the discussion. Also, if we have theirs that they like, and so they should see ours that we like.
Evidently,
And then
Lori doesn't speak for Rainbow.
Yeah.
I mean, Katie.
She's on the phone.
Okay,
Is that appropriate for her?
well, actually, what we need to do, Loma, is we've spent a lot of time and gotten nowhere. So what we'd like to do is form a subcommittee to meet with representatives of Rainbow Task Force and then come back with an agreed upon document. So we don't have to keep discussing it over and over and over and getting nowhere, which is where we're getting right now. So I will be the volunteers.
How many can be on a subcommittee?
Okay, Lester will, Lori will.
No, Lexi didn't say she wanted to.
I said, how many can be on a subcommittee?
Oh. Three. Okay. So then we need, and so we need somebody from Rainbow Task Force to say, yes, we will be on this committee because and then you need to agree that what they come up with is what we're going to discuss, or it's going to be the decision that we make.
Time and day, I'll be there.
Okay, so I'm gonna we have Paige and Lori and Leslie.
Did you want to do it? No, because I feel like,
you did it.
I feel like we went and we contributed and that's, you know, so I feel good about it. I feel like I made a good faith effort. And I'm fine with whatever you guys come up with. I would support the resolution as they submitted it, you know,
And I feel the same way if somebody else wants to step forward, but I will step forward if there's no one else.
Okay, Lori, you are the farthest out board member as far as traveling distance, so maybe you'd like to pick us a meeting date.
No, I think that we can communicate by email and figure out
Okay.
a date. I'm pretty open.
And who'd like to head that email up? And who should we contact?
Madam President, I'll take care of it. I will contact Ms. Hodge. Ms. Hodges, actually, Katie and Trustee Lori, and we'll coordinate a time, and then we'll reach out through
Trustee
Ms.
Jack.
Katie Hodge and reach out to other members. If that's okay.
Okay.
Because he was the one that was, I think maybe it's also Anderson has another. Who is it?
Katie is your spear point for your task force resolution, from what I see. Tina West also, so I'll coordinate with them as well. And from that, we should be able to reach and coordinate all players.
She's not in the.
I'm sorry,
It shouldn't have to be.
not for this.
Okay. Thank you for that. Number 4, action items, science curriculum adoption, quick science for the district, at a cost of $159,216.24. After a quick science pilot at the end of 22-23 school year, the pilot group is recommending that KTJUSD adopt quick science for K-8 for the 2023-2024 school year. Adopt quick science for the 2023-24 school year. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, you step up to the mic and be willing to field questions, please, if the board has any. Maybe tell us a little bit about the adoption process and what you guys went through and how this number derived from the original number that was like 500,000. Last time we looked at it.
Which was an error, so it was not ever, yeah, be that much. If you could turn to the first attachment, for this topic that says KTJUSD K-8 Science Pilot Report. this pilot, was at the very end of the year. We did not have a whole lot of time, so we dug in and we piloted 3 different curriculum at the same time. But we simply divided it up. So an email went out to all K-8 teachers. Originally 9 teachers responded and said they'd participate, 7 stuck with it for the whole thing. And you can see how they're broken down there by Trinity Valley, Hoopa, and Orleans. We followed the process for adoption. We reviewed curriculum online, narrowed down our search, ordered materials. We did work with Dr. Margot from HCOE, and she gave us a really great presentation on the next gen science standards, because our curriculum was not up to date and did not follow next gen science standards. It's old. So she let us know what we were looking for, what was important, and what the next gen science standards are all about. Also the rubrics that we're using to assess the curriculum. We did PD with the different curriculum that we were piloting. We met with Dr. Marago again to discuss how it was going partway through. I went to the IPP committee. We had samples to review, and we had a really great discussion there regarding the process, and they came up with some great asks and concerns. And then at the end, we used our curriculum rubric to rate the experiences, and it was a consensus vote of teachers, what we would like to do moving forward. So Twig Science is what we are recommending that we adopt. What we like about it, it is K-8. It's the only one that we piloted that would be able to do K-8, so we're not doing different things. It was the most teacher friendly, so therefore we think it would be the one that would be most widely used and implemented, which is a positive. The materials were colorful, engaging. There were digital components to it, and as well as kits for hands-on learning, which is important. And it is NGSS aligned. We would like to do this for at least the next year, adopt it and teach it for the next year, and because our pilot was short. And then if it's going well, continue. The concerns that we had about it, it's not yet reviewed by Ed Reports. What we're finding is that the curriculum is new, like it's all new. It's a new stuff, and so things haven't been out as long. So we're hoping that once it does get reviewed by Ed Reports, that it will get positive reviews. It also did not seem quite as robust as the other curriculum that we piloted. And then the one other concern we had with it was that the tech did not get set up easily. But as soon as this gets approved, we're going to get on that and try and get that set up before school starts. I feel like that is going to be a key part. And I know that we got to get Rico on board. Yes.
It says the materials arrived, we met by curriculum groups with reps for PD.
Professional development with the different groups. So the teachers who were piloting Twig met with the Twig people, and the people who were piloting PhD science met with them, and open science ed. And then if you continue, I mean, I'm not going to read the whole rest of the document, but there were concerns brought up by the IPP committee and what happened as I followed through. And the other 2 that we piloted.
Question?
Yeah.
So I'm hearing that there's an online component to this science curriculum, and that we may have not fully experienced the online curriculum portion due to, you know why?
Due to that connection never happened between our tech team and their tech team, and I want to blame their tech team because our tech team is very much on it. So
Rico, would you like to say anything about the technology component of the science? Please, just so we can hear the other side of the story.
Yeah, we had, when she had asked us about it, we went to roster it with our domain stuff that we have currently. Usually with a lot of the curriculum, the online curriculum part, it's very simple, like they send us steps, we walk through the steps, and then it's connected and it rosters exactly who we want. And the one that we've had the most online or this, I'm only speaking for like online curriculum stuff, but the one that I've seen have the most success are the ones that the kids can open up their Chromebook, log in, and then just click on their icon for Twig or SD Math or whatever, and it signs them right in. The teachers and the students aren't getting frustrated trying to get all the kids signed in. They're just like, hey, start SD Math or start Savas, and then they're like, okay, click on it and it goes in. This one didn't completely work that way. What happened is one of my techs contacted them, they sent them the information. I went through the steps with him, and once we were done, we tried to test it, and we couldn't get anywhere. It wouldn't log us in, it couldn't find us. And then so I was like, okay, well, we'll email them again, contact them again, file a ticket. We did that. And my tech had followed up with them for a month, I think, over and over, trying to get them to contact us. And then what ended up happening is once it got, I think he did finally get it resolved, but it was with less than a week, maybe 2 weeks left of school. So I don't know if the online portion made it out into the classroom.
You know if the issue is resolved currently?
I believe it is, like, where hopefully, because we'll have to reconnect them again for this new school year to our class link. But once we do that, then as long as it works the way that it's supposed to, which is what they told us on our first initial setup, it didn't work that way completely. So if it does, then it could, then potentially, yes, it is. It would be ready to go.
Okay.
Very simply.
Okay, but we shouldn't have to go all year waiting for the connection to happen again.
No, normally with
Right.
some of the other, and it might be because they're brand new, they're having a hard time because
And it
with our.
wasn't the whole district, it was like select teacher.
Yeah, but that part for us is kind of simple. We just choose who it is, who's gonna get it, hit go, and then they get all this information, because we just send them the data. And they basically reflect it in their systems, but that part broke somehow. And it was just really hard to get them to contact us back so we could fix it and work through it. Usually if they contact us back, it doesn't take very much.
Go ahead.
It wasn't a question for him.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for Carney. This science curriculum, is it going to process every year? Is that going to come out of our curriculum?
Is this a one-year cost, Karen, or the current
So
document?
this is a 1 year, but it would not be the same amount every year because we would have the kits. And then I asked, I believe, let's see if I put it in here. I asked the company to send us like you get a box that has all the materials you need for the science module that you're going to teach. And you're going to use some of those supplies. So I said, can you give us a list of what's in the box so we can figure out if it's cheaper to buy that from you or just go and, get it from other places. And so that's a decision that we can make as a district or that the school can make. There will be certain things that come in the kit that will be reusable, like beakers and goggles and those kinds of things that will not be consumable. And then there will be some consumables that we will need to purchase.
So those consumables, are they going to affect our budget and our ability to purchase curriculum for other subjects?
It will not, so within the LCAP, there's monies allocated for purchasing a new curriculum and or the consumables. So the consumables are a yearly replenishment of.
Okay, so it doesn't affect our ability to purchase math curriculum when that comes around, or if we have other curriculum that have consumables, we can still continue to purchase and look at other curriculum, right?
So, yes, so if you're looking at a new adoption of curriculum, it would be a process that would be like a year in advance, so that it could be within your LCAP. And then the directive would be to put those monies into our instructional materials account. And then therefore we could budget for a little higher amount. I do have a question on this.
Is this just the materials and not the kits?
This is everything.
Okay.
This is the student licenses for the online portion, the kits, the materials, the consumables, the textbooks. But it's for 1 year. And what happened at the last board meeting was I didn't know if we wanted to do a 1 year or a 3 year. So I submitted both of them and they all got added together.
So when
Does that
you,
make sense?
when you say 1 year and 2 year, 3 year, is that, I'm assuming that we'll get the same amount each year, needed or not? Or I'm not understanding.
I think
every
that
year.
you get a little discount on
Yeah.
things like student licenses and whatnot if you say, we're gonna commit to this for 3 years.
So it's license that we'll pay each year.
Yes, but at a discounted rate if you go for 3 years rather than
Okay,
the 1 year
Thank you for
initially.
clarifying that.
Yeah.
That I need to know. I would need to know what that yearly cost is so that we make sure that the
Mhm.
funding is available.
This is the
year
year
that
house.
Mhm.
This is the year.
This would be for the first year. Yeah, I don't know that it would be this much every year. I do not think it would.
So we don't have a cost for just licensing.
Let's see.
3 years.
So one reason why, because this is also a little bit less than the last one, and one reason why is because they were able to bundle things, whereas in the last one, they didn't do that. They just went by our student numbers, but then this time around, we're actually gonna get more materials for a little bit less money because they're bundling things. So you'll notice it says implementation pack. So that includes the teacher edition, the modules, the digital subscription, 25 student bundles, blah, blah, blah. So
What's the cost each year for the license?
I don't know because this is all bundled.
I guess that's my question is, are we having to purchase a bundle each year? So it's not like when you buy a reading curriculum, you buy the book and then you just get a workbook every year or however it goes. I know that's kind of outdated, but so this is a little bit different.
So I think this would be a good way to start with the bundle. And then if we didn't use all of our consumables, then we could just purchase what we need in the following years. Instead of purchasing another bundle.
I think what I'm asking though is also for us to budget for next year.
Yeah.
We have to have some idea as to what the cost will be for the subscription each year. And that's not broke out, you know.
It's not broken out.
In a bundle.
Let's see.
Be 95,000 a year. I doubt it because this has all the materials. However,
Here it is. If you turn to down on page 19. Price quote. It looks like $19.
so it looks like 57,000 a year is what we're looking at.
Nope, this is for, okay, so on page 17, you have, this is for, elementary.
If you continue with the document and go through each.
And then page 18 is elementary continued, and then page 19 is junior high.
So but the bottom line is 57,000.
For junior high. Yes, but what I was looking at is it breaks it out to single user. Huh? No, it's two different quotes. There's a quote for K6 and a quote for 7, 8. And when you add them together, you get the total cost that's in your board agenda. And what happened before is I had one for K6 1 year, one for 7, 8 1 year, one for K6 3 year, one for 7, 8 3 year, excuse me, and it all got added together and you got a nearly $500,000. That's where the confusion was.
7,000 a year. So this is one of the most expensive programs we've ever seen. So that's why we're asking you so many questions, you know. And that's all I have to say.
It could be, if that's, it would be. I mean, with the budget, we're going to bring from each year. I just need to know to make sure that all of our other consumables are included as well.
Thank you. I just have a question because I don't see any cost comparisons for any of these. It's all any of these programs. And I also see the question regarding what they're using on the coast, and appears that no one else is using this
Right.
this program at all, and I'm wondering if part of the reason is because of the high cost.
Yes.
You know, so
Honestly, looking at the cost, this was
recurring
just on
costs,
par with
so-
the other ones that we looked at when we were purchasing, because we had to purchase some of the materials to pilot. This was just right in there with the rest of them. Science is expensive because you're buying these kits with all of the materials.
Mhm.
For
Well, that
example,
doesn't answer my question about regarding the cost comparison.
Right.
With the other ones that you tested.
mhm,
I mean, I don't mean to be nitpicky, but I mean, the money is a huge concern to us. I mean, I see that you like this curriculum, but
I didn't pilot it, not me. I'm just representing the group,
so you didn't pilot it at all, so you don't have.
not personally.
So you, oh, because you're the principal.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, you oversaw
Yeah.
the whole pilot.
yeah.
Oh,
So I'm just representing the group.
right, right. I just feel like we don't have a really enough information. I'd like to see us get a science curriculum, but I'd like to see it better within our budget too. And I also don't understand on the concerns for the PhD science. The concern was the K through fifth. Does that mean that you can't use it for K through fifth grade or?
So on the PhD science, it is a K through fifth grade curriculum.
Oh, because it says it's under the concerns, grade K through 5.
Oh, yeah, so it's only grades K through 5 and it doesn't go to 7, 8.
Okay,
So that would just be, if we did PhD science, we could do that for K5, we'd have to figure out something else for 7 and 8.
right. And then,
It's not a huge concern.
so is that what you're saying concern is for the next one, open site? I didn't understand your
Okay.
concerns when it just said, or likes, when it just said grade 6 through 8 as is on open science ed. Does that mean it doesn't include 6 through 8 or it only does 6 through 8?
So open sci ed right now is, it's brand new. It's brand new, just out. And it's only for grade 6, 7, and 8 currently. They are now working on their high school. And then by 2026, they plan to have it out for K5. But right now, Open Sci Ed is the only highly rated science curriculum for grades 6, 7, and 8 on Ed Reports. So it is a very highly rated curriculum.
And what
it
does
is-
it cost?
Well, it depends on how you're gonna purchase it. So it's open source, which means that they do not have a specific publisher who is providing the materials. So, which means that you could digitally the whole thing and just pay your printing costs. Or what I did to get our pilot curriculum was I went through the comm center at HCOE and had them printed out. The teacher's editions were $100 each. Which I thought, well, that's not a lot of money. But what they do have is a lot of different companies have said, oh, we'll supply everything you need for Open Sci Ed. And so you have a choice of all these different companies. And the way that they package their materials, and you can buy the kits from them, you can buy prep materials from them, you can do that. It's all costs in the thousands of dollars, for.
Right, but did you write down those costs so that we could see them and compare them at all?
I did not. Otherwise, they would be in this document. Sorry about that. Would you like me to, that's. And any one of us could do, there's a lot of different groups to go.
I have a lot of questions. And I have a lot of questions about the cost of different ones, so. I don't know. But I understand are we under time constraints because you gotta get it ordered before
Yes.
school?
Yeah.
Well, it kind of sounds to me like this program would come fully ready to go. And if we went with the program, if we had to start delivering the pieces and parts, it would be a nightmare from the beginning of school when people are trying to put those things together.
I don't know that it would be a nightmare.
Well, actually, Lauren,
It would be a lot on the leaders of the school at this,
Yeah.
at the very beginning, we have some new principals coming in. I think it would be, and then to reorder, we would have to find the company that we want to go with for sure, and I would just recommend ordering everything and not trying to print things out and not trying to do the cheap route, and then you're gonna have a similar cost that we have for Blake. Honestly, it's gonna be really similar. Even though it is open source.
Okay, well, that's good. That's what I want to know.
Mhm.
I wanted to hear the comparison of the
Mhm.
cost and comparison of what you have to do to get to those costs. And especially since, no one else around here is using this one. I'm thinking it's partly because it's so expensive.
I think it's, I don't know, my gut tells me that's probably not the reason. Probably the reason is these other ones are, more highly rated on ed reports and the other reports that come out. They're more robust. And they have, at other schools where they have, this person is just teaching science, then you can jump into that robust curriculum. I don't think that Twig is not robust. I just don't think it's in comparison as robust. Yes.
So if these other programs are robust and we're aware of them, why did we look at those?
We did.
Okay,
Mhm.
and so what made you go with Twig? What made everybody go with Twig instead of the other?
It was more teacher friendly. It was like, I can teach this in my classroom today, tomorrow, instead of, oh my goodness, how am I gonna organize all of this? This is gonna take me days of prep to even pull off one lesson. Those kinds of things.
kind of like that, that it's teacher friendly, because I know especially when you're teaching multi-grade classrooms, to try to put together, the plan, you need something that you can pull and do.
And it was engaging. The teachers who taught it felt like it was engaging. The kids were engaged, they were learning. So,
And it spans all grades.
and it spans all grades, K-8.
And the other students.
Is it possible to discuss this in closed session?
It's not on our
It's
agenda.
not on the agenda, so we can't add it. That's, or maybe it's not too sensitive. I just think I'm just want to have more discussion with Army and superintendent.
We could if we can consider it an emergency. I'm not sure that we can consider this an emergency.
Can we, so it's not time sensitive then?
That's a little bit time sensitive. We want to get the materials here so that we're ready at the beginning of school, and we want to get the technology piece set up, and we want to get some PD planned so that the teachers have what they need.
Can we table it and have some discussion and then do a straw vote? Can we straw vote this one thing? So that then we can do it, well, we'll have to, we'll just have to have a meeting, special meeting to consider. I don't, does anybody else have concerns? Maybe I just need to get some answers.
I'm not happy that we don't have the licensing amount.
Yeah,
That's the part I'm not happy about, but I do understand that if you looked at all these curriculums and you're saying it's good to go as is, that's a real big plus when you're gonna have a bunch of new teachers in
Mhm.
and everybody's gonna want to roll. It's time to roll.
yeah, but
Do-
remind of the money.
So Karen, I have a question, for
Yes.
example. So when we're buying like an 8th grade implementation kit bundle, it's $4,000. We're getting 4 of those. Do those implementation kits have everything that a teacher would need?
Yes.
Would it be possible that we just order the kits and not all the extra that goes along with it? because it's already in the kit. For example, because I'm looking at page 22, and if I go to middle school and I go to grade 8 science implementation kit, $4,250 for one of those kits, and we have to buy 4 of them. So that's 17,000 right there. And so my thought is, if that kit has everything that you need in it to implement the curriculum, then why do we need to buy the journals and the modules? And, I'm not understanding that. It just should be simpler. Maybe we can cut down on it.
This is, I worked with the guy who's putting this together for us, and this is this cut down, as he could make it with giving us.
Even without the
program.
licensing separate, like Leslie's asking for. I mean, he needs to be a little more cooperative with us if he wants us to spend about $159,000.
Right.
And many companies will work with us, they'll come here in person and present it for that amount. Yeah, it's just a really, I get it, I understand, as a teacher, what's that?
Yeah, 'cause I think it's important to know what it's gonna cost us yearly, at least in the ballpark here.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On the PD webinar training for launching, it's only stating the site is at Orleans Elementary for 15 participants. What about?
Does that include the other sites?
No, that
Yeah, that's
would
on
include
page,
everybody.
20?
That's 3,000 bucks.
And then you have a TWIG professional development webinar up to 40 participants. So there's 2 separate PD. There's a launching. On page 20. So on page 18, you have professional development up to 40 participants. And then on 20, you have PD IO webinar training launching TWIG at Orleans Elementary. For up to 15 participants through the year.
Oh, that was,
But there's no other school sites that has that.
that's really strange. Yeah, I didn't catch that. I have no idea what that is. When is closed session? How many more things do you need to discuss? Do you want me to try and get on the phone with Michael Sinclair and?
We can't do this.
We can't do this. Okay, all right.
Not yet.
Yeah, it'll be an emergency.
I'm just.
August 22nd.
Yeah. Okay.
I have another question. So when you had a quick pilot program,
Mhm.
why did we have a quick pilot program versus a full year of pilot?
Because of the Williams Act, we ran out of time.
So this was a Williams finding
Mhm.
for science.
Yeah, in our district. Yeah.
That makes.
This has
been very expensive.
I just need to know what the deal is.
I said, this kind of makes me sick, the amount of money, because I saw hundreds of kids. from our district, who still not so long ago.
I'll just need to know what the subscription is each year to ensure that we're always budgeting for that.
Right. Okay.
This is an action
Like
item,
$3,000, that's been.
so we
Yeah.
either need to make a vote or we need to
I think we need to table it. I think
table it and then we need to have a special meeting because this needs to be done as soon as possible.
Okay.
Unless somebody wants to make a motion, then we
We
do
do on
it.
the agenda and have her make her phone calls and come back to it before this meeting is open.
Yeah.
We could after closed session. Okay. Will that work for you, Karen?
If I can get a hold of the guy, yes, and then I could also ask about the comparables of the other two. I mean, I'll try and get that by later today.
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what?
So we're gonna be able to.
$3,000.
Yeah, I'll ask about that.
The yearly.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Page 20.
We're gonna move on to item 4B, resolution of transfer. And that's Carney.
Yes, so this is, we do this every year.
Okay, I don't think everybody can hear you.
Okay, so this and a resolution for transfer. This is a requirement each year, at the end of the fiscal year, that we have a resolution for transfer in the event that we have a negative ending balance during our budget adoption. We did not. However, if there was something that had came up in the meantime, while we're closing our books, we're authorizing HCOE to be able to utilize our special reserve to cover any negative ending balance. So this is just something that we do every year. Cover our bases.
But we don't have a negative ending balance. So this is just a formality.
Formality, yes.
Okay.
Lord. Thank you. I have a question. So it says resolution 2 and resolution 1, but resolution 1 is coming after resolution 2. So which one is first?
It is both, 1 and 2.
So it goes at this, they just go at the same time, because I was looking at it and it's kind of confusing as to, because you're switching money over, but then you're giving permission to take it back out.
In the event, you could always bring it back in, so you're doing them both at the same time. So you can take one and then you have the permission to put it back in.
Okay, so if this right, and I had a question for the June 30th, 2023, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so even though we're passing it in July.
Yes, because that's the end of our fiscal year.
Okay, so, and I was just wondering, should we have resolution numbers already? Or because they're not on the.
It's just not on the one that's printed, but if you look on
Oh, 61 and 62.
62, yeah. Sorry.
23-61, 23-62.
Got it.
Okay, so. So do we have to pick an option or is that part of the resolution?
Part of the resolution, option 2. So yes,
So, okay, option 2. Okay, so we just say, we just cross out option 1 then?
yes.
And then
The
the one
motion will be for mo-
for option number 2, and then when it's redone, it'll just be.
Yeah.
It's just the formality that I'm just wondering about, because I have, so if we could do the motion, I would make the motion to adopt. Special Reserve Funds Resolution 23-61 and Special Reserve Funds Resolution Option 2. Number 23-62 with edits. Add a couple of edits.
I'm gonna send it to the county.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor? The motion passed. We have. The other one, Jennifer.
That's the phone system, action item 4C.
Okay, action item
Puerto
4.
Rico phone system. You have some information about it.
Okay.
For any clarifying questions. So Rico's worked on the phone, folks, and so he's here to do the presentation. Thank you, Rico.
Oh, yeah, I also have Drew here with us on Zoom. He works with AMS, the company that we use there. Drew Stark.
Hi, Drew. Welcome to our meeting. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
So we have,
We added it. 4 feet. Did I get one?
It should be inside.
It's in the aqua.
It's in your aqua.
Oh, it's in my office.
It's in your aqua.
Got it. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
There we go. Sorry.
Speak right into your mic, please, so we can all hear you. There we go.
You have it now? Yes, thank you.
yeah, so Anybody who's been here for a while, they've seen the exact same phones for probably,
32 years.
yeah, for a long time. And before my time, I think I was in school when they got this. So right now, we currently have a on-premise, they call it on-premise solution, which is, we have a box in one of our rooms at our high school that all the phones come back to and talk to and then go out. One of the good things about that is we have, hard phone lines that it utilizes, which are really reliable for us. But the downside is that Cisco is actually changing a lot of their licensing structures and stuff like that, which is going to end up costing us a lot of money very soon. So we had to look into going with more cloud-based options, they call it, which is instead of having it on-premise, having it all ran on-premise, we have it'll be hosted in the cloud, like online. And we ended up going with landing on Zoom, the Zoom phone system, because they actually have it's like a redundancy thing for us where we can also still have an on-premise device that we don't have to really upkeep. It just syncs with the one online for us. And so it'll help us with, because sometimes we do have outages with our internet where the internet will go down, but we still need to be able to communicate, right, in between schools and call out and stuff. So Zoom was the only one that I found that I had seen that has a solution for that, for our redundancy issues. Because we did another one with Ring Central, which they had a solution, they told us, but after doing more digging, their solution wasn't very resilient, I would say. It doesn't work very well, especially for us in our area because of its cell signal based, where they'd be piggybacking off of cell signal, which we don't have the best cell signal out here for it to work for us good. So that's kind of the biggest reason why I went with Zoom. And AMS is here they're going to be helping us with the implementation, like the startup of it all and getting everything installed and helping us plan the layout and put everything out there and get it all up and running. And we're kind of doing it now, so potentially we could try to get it done before school starts next year.
Yeah. You go ahead. You might answer my.
So my question, is the price quote that we see in front of us for $341,639.39. Do we have to go with the 5-year term? Can we go with any kind of term that's less than that?
I can handle that one for you guys. So that's the total project cost. What we would do is there's a one-time cost. I'm just rounding up here to make it a little easier, about $150K. That includes the new phones that'll be going in, all the pro services that we're going to provide in the deployment, and any of the
Excuse me, Drew, sorry for interrupting.
Yep.
We just turned off our air conditioning so we can hear you. Some of us couldn't hear what the first part of your statement was. I'm sorry. Could you?
All right, no worries. So the 341,000 is the total project cost. So there's a one-time cost and then there's an annual subscription. The one-time cost, to clarify what that includes, is it's going to include some site-based hardware that's going to help us provide the analog failover, the reliability in case we lose the internet connection and need to go over local lines or LTE or out through satellite connection. It includes the actual phones that all the staff users would be receiving, and then all the pro services that AMS is going to provide to deploy this. And it's a turnkey deployment. So we're basically going to get user information from Rico and his team, and then go ahead and apply that to each individual phone and set them up. As far as why we have a 5-year term versus an annual term, where it's actually a 5-year term that's billed annually. So you'll have that one-time cost, which is the phones, the hardware, the pro services, rounding up here, it's about 150K. And then you'll have a little over 38,000 a year. That's going to be your annual subscription cost. The reason it's 5 years is that maximizes the discounts with Zoom. And we're able to bill that annually. So we're not asking you guys for the full subscription cost up front, which is how a lot of folks work. We would still annualize those payments while maximizing and locking in that discount for the 60-month term.
You know, off the top of your head, what the annual cost would be after we do that initial 149,000 for all the equipment?
Yeah, so just to be clear, the kind of quote year one cost would be the about 150K for the equipment pro services. Then it's 38,000. So I'm looking at my other screen to get over the $38,444.40 a year. Again, that's locked in annually. The only way that would change is if you build a new school and add, 50, 60 more users, then it would go up. It can also true down too annually. If you guys lose a significant amount of users, there's a little overhead built in anyways, with those Zoom agreements to kind of handle transitioning staff. But yeah, you're looking at about 3844 going forward a year.
Okay, I have another question, please.
Yes.
Does this cover long distance? Does the cloud, the type of cloud coverage that you're talking about, will that handle our long distance needs and needs of fax machines?
I gotta double check on the fax machines. The long distance is absolutely covered. I can't remember, Rico, if we've got an IP fax solution with you guys. I think it's probably mutually exclusive right now. That is to say, those fax lines run over their own independent lines. If we use some sort of cloud-based faxing solution, which I'd have to explore if Zoom supports that or a third-party product, that would be a different story. But I think right now they run over to the traditional fax lines that would be independent of the current phone system and independent of the proposed phone system.
Okay.
So the information in regards to long distance, this will fall within our long distance cost. Once this is in place with AT&T, we would no longer be utilizing that long distance. We would not have that long distance cost, and therefore, with our costs currently, it would actually be cheaper.
That's actually correct. So there's what they call in the service provider world a PTSN. And for the life of me, I can't remember what that acronym looks like, but there's two flavors of it. There's the traditional PRI SIP method, which is what you guys are now. So you pay for your Cisco equipment, your Cisco licensing, your Cisco servers, everything that goes into that. Then you pay an AT&T or another service provider a monthly rate to cover your long distance, to basically cover that circuit, if you will. When you move to a cloud-based model such as Zoom, that PTSN cost actually gets absorbed in the annual user subscription, if that makes sense.
Long distance separate.
No, he just said no.
So once it cuts over, we got to make sure you guys cancel that service too, so we don't get charged. But our project manager is going to make sure that happens for you anyways.
Another thing is correct me if I'm wrong, Drew, but I believe that this also gives us Zoom licenses for every phone, like for every user we end up with getting. We will
Is it
end up getting
time Zoom or
so it's basically like I think right now we have 10 or 15 on hand that people are all using, but this one will actually give it to every end user will actually receive a Zoom account also. So that's what everybody, that was another reason that we kind of went with this, because the other ones would be a whole new platform everybody would have to learn. But a lot of our people are already kind of fluent in Zoom, I guess I'd say.
Rika, you hit the nail on the head. One of the big reasons was, going to a cloud-based system is an access thing. So, God forbid we ever have a pandemic situation again when we got to flip back home, but this would allow your users to take their phone and literally just plug it into their internet. to be able to use it. They can also use it from their school issued devices, desktop, cell phones that their school issued. So there's a big familiarity around Zoom with the users, but going forward, every staff member will have a full licensed version of Zoom that they can use themselves. So since the user group's already used to working with Zoom, it made a lot more sense to stick Zoom. So. And then I wanted to add a little bit on another big check mark that this system covers, which is two things. One's a cybersecurity issue. So right now the phone system's on premise. So if you guys were ever ransomware, that is to say a malicious attack, normally out of Eastern Europe, and they hold what's on premise hostage until you pay a ransom. Normally what happens is you wipe out those systems and you restore from a backup, and that takes your network down, takes your voice systems down for a week or two as those systems are restored. So we're a big proponent of encouraging our K-12 customers, especially, to move anything that they can into the cloud. And this would be one of those systems that we'd move into the cloud and avoid that as a cybersecurity vulnerability too. If you guys are paying for cybersecurity insurance, which I suspect you may be, or you may be getting it downstream from the COE, when that renewal comes out, you'll want to mention that you moved your phone system and your meeting system to the cloud, and they may lower your rate subsequently because of that. So I would keep that in mind. The last little thing to talk about too is there's some compliance with state and federal law that the current system, as long as it's untouched, is grandfathered in. But the minute we upgrade or move, we have to comply with it. And it's E911 access and capability. So you guys will be fully compliant with that going forward as well too, which is something that the district's been needing to do.
Actually, I think you answered my question. I was wondering about the security of the cloud and what would happen if, there was a breach or a hack or however you say it in that system. Because to me, I feel like it's up there in the cloud, like maybe anybody can get to it. I'm old school, so I really don't understand.
That's a fair thought. That's a very fair thought. So the reason we are a proponent of going to the cloud is that they're actually much more secure than most of our school networks are. Rika does a really good job with cybersecurity, but I don't think he has a $500,000 budget to have a cybersecurity firm actively monitoring traffic and that sort of thing in every security alert. So it's just, it happens probably, and we work with K-12s up and down the state. We probably have about 5 or 6 a year. Even the ones who have really good security turned on get compromised at some level. So the nice thing about moving a system to the cloud is, one, it becomes that provider's problem if there ever is a compromise and their liability. The other thing too is that they're constantly replicating the data. And again, it's secure encrypted data, but they're replicating that to multiple data centers. So if for some reason Zoom got compromised somewhere, which is pretty much impossible that it would be, because we're protected by all their cybersecurity products that they have in place, they would be able to quickly restore. Versus if we stuck on premise, it would probably take us a minimum 5 to 8 business days to restore your servers and your system to working order that it is now.
And my other question was about losing power. When we lose power, are these we have backup generators that kick in, and there's no problem with no issues with any of that?
So as long as there's redundant power, we're good to go. I think a lot of the network is backed up using UPSs, which are big batteries. And then because of your guys' proximity, I think, to wildfire boundaries and the shutoffs, I believe most of the sites are on generator power in a big power shutdown or power failure. So as long as there's power to the network, we can power the phones up. And they might spool for a second or two while they reconnect, but you're not gonna lose them permanently, so long as we have that local power.
So is our district office, we don't have backup power at the district office.
So what would we do here?
If there's no backup power, the one thing we could do potentially, and I think we kind of talked about it, is get basically a hard phone line punched down in here. And then we can give you guys an old analog phone in there to utilize to get out, to call out. But it'd be kind of the same thing as like if you're at home and you had, your landline. Everybody knows the landlines usually never go down, but for the most part, right, you would have to have power for any other type of communication, right? Well, so for here, we might even actually have a couple of lines punched down in there. And if so, we would just have to purchase an old analog phone, but that would be, I guess, the most extreme.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask, if there was a capability to be able to do that, because that's what we do at home. I mean, I have my answering machine that needs power.
Yeah.
But I also have one phone that's on the wall jack that will ring regardless if we have
Yeah.
power or not.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if that capability is here too, because I know not every site has power backup.
I think everybody does except the district office. And it wouldn't really change because right now with the,
Yeah.
the power goes down. there's
But we still have the landlines, and there's the landlines would be our backup.
And it would work.
Yeah, as long as those don't go down, but yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Drew, could you answer this question? Would those Yeti portable batteries possibly resolve the district office issue if they lose power?
I'm not sure off the top of my head without looking at a data sheet for something like that. But I'm guessing the power needs pretty minimal. You'd have to have, whatever that port's plugged into, which goes back to a switch, that's gotta be powered up. So I can talk to Rico offline about making sure there's some redundant power, and talking through some options for the DL. But I think for all the school sites, we have the backup generator, so that's the really important part. If you lost power and you had a blip and we had, backup batteries or UPSs at the DL, right? We're probably looking at 15 to 60 minutes of runtime on that before those are exhausted. So I think that's really kind of a district decision, because it's not just the phone system that's affected, it's the entire network. It's anything that kind of gets plugged into the internet, so to speak. I'm being very low tech with that, sir. But it kind of depends on where you guys are at as far as your power redundancy. And most of the time, I don't sell generators. I don't live in that world of heavy electrical, but I do encourage my customers best possible, especially with mandated shutoffs by utilities, to consider generators at every site or very robust battery backup.
Thank you for that. Just so the make intention for the board, we have been approved already to get a generator here and at the bus shop, and we just need to finish that process. So that's already been approved. We're just behind on that installation. So what I'm recommending to you is that you approve this and that we use our ESSER money, but since that takes permission in the backup, in case our ESSER money wouldn't come through, we would use unrestricted. But I feel that it's a need and it's a necessary thing here.
I'll make a motion. It would be for the initial 149, just for clarification, just 149.
Yeah, that's what I'm paying, not the 300 or something, it's 149.
It's the 149 plus the year one cost, which is 38. So
The 38 for one year.
That's already.
Yeah, the annual.
And that's okay.
38, 44.
40.
Here on out. Yes. That would be the.
I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor?
Who seconded?
Condition.
AED, no.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? Okay, seeing none, the motion passes.
I have.
Yay, thank you, Drew, we'll be doing business.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a great partnership with you guys over the years, so appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Rico.
Five, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Can I have it with edits on the minutes?
With edits on the minute.
Yes.
I'll second.
And Lori, you're gonna give those edits. All in favor? And opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes.
Question, Rico, did you already put the SELPA manual on our website?
I believe we did.
Okay.
We put it on, yeah, our old.
So now that they've just approved it, it needs to be on like today. Thank you.
Public comment on closed session items. Members of the public may address board on matters published on the agenda.
Hold a second. Where you at? Yeah. First, we have the view.
Oh, but that was part of.
That was part of the consent.
Oh,
agenda.
okay. We don't need to discuss. Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, it's from the wrench. Oh, it's from the wrench in my
Yeah, we wanna make sure.
We're on item number 6, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, Ramona Sokolo again here, special ed teacher. And I had wanted to just address an issue that probably will need to be discussed further. But the issue that we cannot, that special ed teachers are not having the staff, the classified staff that we need in our rooms. For example, was lacking 2 one-on-one aides all last year. I suffer, my other students suffer, the student stuff suffers. Parents, guardians threaten lawsuits. So what I learned is that, and I'm sorry, I'm not prepared, I've been out of town, but I learned that there's an outside agency that our district is contracting with. And supposedly there are 2 at Trinity Valley, they're starting this process where this outside agency is providing the staff that we are lacking. And this is for lawsuit prevention. So again, I'm sorry if I'm stating this incorrectly, but
Do you know if it's presence learning?
it's not that one, because we are using those for speech and occupational therapy, and that's fine. I don't need that person in the room. It's the one-on-one aide who needs to be there 24, the full day with the student. So what are they called? They changed their names, behavior something, and so again, I apologize. Lisette is the first name of the woman that I had spoken with months ago, because I was trying to find out how I could get a person to be in my room with my student who has a lot of behavioral issues, safety issues. And it's difficult for me to teach, and where a kid needs one-on-one aid is there. So my thought was, if there is a trend, and this is not regarding the occupational therapy and speech, because that's one person who, is itinerant and comes in to serve, that's different. I'm talking about the one-on-one aides as well as classroom aides for special education. If there's going to be a trend where we're contracting out, we'll be spending a lot of money. And again, the amount can't be quoted, but I recall it was $24 per hour. And so then, of course, my thoughts go, well, then why don't we just elevate the salary for our staff here? I have lost a lot of great people who cried. Some cried when they left, because I loved them. They loved our family in our room, but they could not afford the salary, the lack of hours, and the lack of health insurance. So I know we keep, bringing this topic up, but my thought is, if there is a trend where you're going to be paying anyway to prevent lawsuits, to have a person, especially the one-on-one SKIAs or special circumstance instructional aids in special ed classrooms, let's, if there's something you can do that can override going through the union. I've been with the district for 14 years. I've been teaching for 24 years. I've seen what different districts do. Anyway, I still wish that we would set a standard and elevate the salary for classroom aides. And I don't know how you can do it if it's just special ed or that it'll set a trend for all classified, but most of our classified here are grandparents raising, you know, other people's children, their grandchildren. They do deserve a livable wage, but anyway. My point is I'm seeing a trend that we'll have lawsuit threats. Your district will start paying people $24 an hour. Why don't we hire our own people that will be with us, so we'll have that consistency throughout the years with our staff, so that they'll stay. When I started as a teacher, even in this district, 14 years ago, we had people in their 50s, 60s retiring as special ed aides, so they were very skilled. And I love training people, but lately I have somebody for a year or two, and then they leave to a higher paying job. So that really disrupts the smoothness in our classroom and the instruction. Anyway.
What are they being paid now?
I don't know what the wage is. I don't know, I'm guessing.
I'm gonna say 17.
I was gonna guess 16. I just know that I've had some great people, some of them work, you know, in other departments and they couldn't become teachers. So they left because they wanted a higher salary, a livable wage, the hours that are full-time, and health insurance. We have another issue at the high school. Our hours are this equivalent, our special ed aides hours are equivalent to the elementary, yet our high school goes an hour longer, and that's been a fight. So this is, I'm sorry, I'm like reviewing the ongoing discussion, but the new item is that you're going to be paying $24, I mean, that amount or some similar amount through the other agency anyway. So let's hire our people and keep them so we can really train them. And I'll do monthly trainings with you know, guidance of administration. I don't care. I just would like for us to keep our staff and our local people. So that's just you know, food for thought.
Thank you, Ramona.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will. We're going into closed session.
Closed session.
It's a hard time hearing.
At 12:59. Oh, 1 o'clock.